What if I told you that the reason you feel stuck has nothing to do with your motivation? What if your procrastination isn't a sign of laziness, but a sign of something much deeper, something your mind is desperately trying to protect you from? We often ask ourselves, why can't I just do it? We look for the newest productivity hack, the latest motivational video, or the most disciplined morning routine, hoping that this time something will finally click. We believe that if we just pushed harder, if we were just a little less tired or a little more inspired, our lives would magically transform. We treat our lack of action as the core problem, the very root of our frustration, and so we try to fix it with more force, more guilt, and more pressure. But this approach is like trying to fix a deep crack in a wall with a coat of fresh paint. It might look better for a moment, but the underlying issue remains, and soon enough the crack will reappear, perhaps even wider than before. We are focusing all our energy on the symptom, not the cause. The real question isn't why am I so unmotivated? The real question we need to have the courage to ask ourselves is, what am I truly afraid of? This single shift in perspective can change everything. It moves us from a place of self-blame and judgment to a place of curiosity and compassion. It invites us to become detectives of our own inner world, to search for clues not in our to-do lists, but in our hearts. Think about it. You are a smart, capable person. You have dreams, you have goals, and you have a genuine desire to grow and improve. The fact that you feel stuck is not a reflection of your worth or your potential. It's a signal. Your feeling of being stuck is a messenger, trying to deliver a very important piece of information about your internal world. But for too long, we have been shooting the messenger. We have been silencing the very part of us that is trying to guide us toward true healing and lasting change. By blaming procrastination or a lack of willpower, we miss the profound wisdom that our resistance holds. So, let's make a commitment, right here and now, to stop asking the wrong question. Let's stop treating the symptoms and start exploring the roots. This journey requires us to be gentle with ourselves, to be patient, and to be willing to look at the parts of our story that we may have been avoiding. It's not about finding a quick fix, it's about starting a meaningful conversation with yourself. A conversation that has the power to unlock the chains that have held you in place for far too long. The path forward doesn't begin with more action. It begins with deeper understanding. It begins with asking the right question. Procrastination and a lack of motivation are the most common labels we stick on our experience of being stuck. They are easy answers, simple explanations that the world readily accepts. When we say, "I'm just procrastinating," people nod in understanding. It feels final, like a diagnosis, but these are not diagnoses. They are merely descriptions of behavior. They tell us what we are doing, or not doing, but they tell us absolutely nothing about why. Imagine going to a doctor with a persistent cough and being told, "The problem is that you're coughing." You would rightly feel that the real issue has been completely missed. The cough is a symptom, a signal that something else is happening beneath the surface, like an infection or an allergy. It is the same with our inner lives. Your lack of motivation is the cough. Your tendency to put things off until the last minute is the cough. These are the outward signs that an inner emotional or psychological system is out of balance. Treating them as the root cause is why our efforts to change so often fail. We download a new app to manage our time, we set alarms, we make promises to ourselves, and for a day or two, it might even work. But soon the old patterns return with a vengeance, leaving us feeling even more defeated and convinced that we are fundamentally flawed. We are trying to solve an emotional problem with a logistical solution, and it will never work in the long run. The truth is, procrastination is often a sophisticated subconscious strategy for emotional regulation. When a task, a goal, or a life change triggers feelings of fear, anxiety, or inadequacy, our mind's primary directive is to keep us safe. And what is the quickest way to avoid feeling those uncomfortable emotions? Avoid the task that triggers them. Procrastination, in this light, is not laziness. It is a form of self-protection. Your mind isn't trying to sabotage your success, it's trying to shield you from perceived emotional pain. It's a deeply ingrained protective mechanism that is simply misfiring in the modern world, protecting you from a threat that isn't a tiger in the bushes, but the fear of judgment or failure. Therefore, the first step toward real movement is to reframe these behaviors. Instead of seeing your procrastination as a moral failing, what if you saw it as a clue? What if your lack of motivation was not a character flaw, but a compass pointing directly toward an unresolved fear or a limiting belief? This shift is profound. It moves you out of the role of a guilty defendant and into the role of a compassionate investigator. The goal is no longer to beat procrastination but to understand its message. What is this resistance trying to tell me? What is it protecting me from? When we start asking these questions, we finally begin to address the real source of our stuckness. So, if procrastination and lack of motivation are just symptoms, what is the underlying cause? The answer lies deep within the silent, powerful realm of your subconscious mind. Think of your conscious mind, the part of you that sets goals, makes plans, and feels frustrated. As the captain of a ship, standing on the deck with a map and a compass. The captain knows the destination and gives the orders, but the subconscious mind is the vast hidden crew below deck, operating the engines, managing the sails, and steering the rudder. It is the part of you that runs on habit, belief, and emotion. If the crew has been given a different set of instructions, an old outdated map, it doesn't matter what the captain shouts from above, the ship will continue on its pre-programmed course. This is precisely what happens when we feel stuck. Consciously, you want to move forward. You want to start the business, write the book, have the difficult conversation, or get healthy. You, the captain, are shouting, "Full speed ahead." But your subconscious mind, the powerful crew, might be running on an old script that says, "It's not safe to be visible," or "You'll only fail and embarrass yourself," or "If you succeed, people will expect more from you, and you won't be able to handle it." This internal conflict is the real reason you feel like you are spinning your wheels. You are pushing the accelerator with one foot while the other is firmly planted on the brake. These subconscious programs are not your fault. They are the invisible architects of your reality, constructed from your earliest experiences, your family's beliefs, societal conditioning, and past emotional wounds. They are the accumulation of every message you ever received about who you are and what you are capable of. For many of us, these programs were installed in childhood, when our minds were incredibly open and impressionable. A parent's casual remark, a teacher's criticism, or a moment of social rejection can become a core belief that runs silently in the background of our lives for decades, influencing our decisions and behaviors without our conscious awareness. The key to getting unstuck, then, is not to try harder on the conscious level. It's not about more willpower or more discipline. It's about becoming aware of the invisible architect. It's about descending below the deck of the ship and having a conversation with the crew. We must learn to listen to the whispers of our subconscious, to identify the outdated maps and faulty instructions it is operating from. Only by bringing these hidden beliefs and fears into the light of our conscious awareness can we begin the process of updating them. We have to make the invisible visible, because you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. When we look closer at these subconscious programs, we find that they are almost always fueled by fear, but it's rarely the fear we think it is. We might say, "I'm afraid of failing," but what does that truly mean? For some, the fear of failure is actually a fear of judgment. It's the fear of what others will think or say if we don't succeed. For others, the fear of failure is a fear of confirming a deep-seated belief that we are not good enough. Failure, in this case, would feel like a final verdict on our worth as a person. It's not the act of failing itself that paralyzes us, it's the meaning we have attached to it. The story our mind tells us about what that failure would say about us is the real source of the terror. Even more surprisingly, many of us are held back by a deep, hidden fear of success. This sounds counterintuitive. Why would anyone be afraid of achieving their dreams? But think about what success might bring. It brings visibility, and visibility can feel dangerous if you've been taught to stay small and not take up space. Success brings new responsibilities and higher expectations, which can trigger a fear of not being able to sustain it, of being exposed as a fraud, what is often called imposter syndrome. Success might also mean outshining a friend or family member, leading to a subconscious fear of abandonment or jealousy. If your inner script says, "If I become too successful, I will be alone," your mind will sabotage your efforts to protect you from that perceived outcome. Another powerful saboteur is the brain's innate bias for comfort and familiarity. Your brain is wired for survival, and survival means conserving energy and avoiding uncertainty. Your current state of being stuck, as uncomfortable as it is known. It is familiar territory. Your brain knows exactly how to handle the emotions of frustration and disappointment that come with being stuck. It has been doing it for years. A new path, the path of your goals and dreams, is unknown. It is filled with uncertainty, potential challenges, and new emotions. Your brain perceives this as a threat and will generate resistance in the form of procrastination, doubt, and anxiety to keep you safely in the familiar zone. This resistance is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. In fact, it is often a sign that you are on exactly the right one. It means you are pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone, and your brain's ancient survival mechanism is kicking in to try and pull you back. The key is to recognize this resistance for what it is, not a stop sign, but a signal that you are growing. When you can look at your fear and say, "I see you. I know you are trying to protect me, but I am safe, and I am choosing to move forward anyway," you begin to reclaim your power. You unmask the saboteur and see it for what it is, a misguided protector, not an enemy. To truly heal and move forward, we must become archaeologists of our own past. It's essential to understand where these subconscious patterns, these invisible scripts, actually originated. Like a ghost in the machine, these old programs run our lives from the shadows, and they were almost always installed long before we were aware of what was happening. For most of us, the primary source is our childhood conditioning, the environment we grew up in, the beliefs of our parents, and the spoken and unspoken rules of our family system shaped our fundamental understanding of the world, of love, of success, and of our own worth. Think about the messages you received about money, work, or relationships. If you grew up in a household where the belief was money is the root of all evil or rich people are greedy, you may subconsciously sabotage your own financial success to remain loyal to your family's worldview. If you were constantly told to be quiet, not to make a fuss, or to put others' needs first, you might struggle to advocate for yourself or pursue ambitious goals that require you to take center stage. These early lessons become our default settings. They are not objective truths, they are simply the software that was installed when we were young. Without a conscious update, we will continue to run this old software for the rest of our lives. Past failures and traumas also play a monumental role in shaping our self-identity and creating these stuck patterns. If you experienced a significant failure in the past, perhaps you started a business that didn't succeed, or you were rejected from a school you desperately wanted to attend, your mind may have created a powerful story around that event. The story might be, "I am not someone who succeeds," or "I don't have what it takes." This story then becomes a part of your identity. You stop seeing the failure as an event that happened to you and start seeing it as a reflection of who you are. This identity, "I am a person who fails," then acts as a self-fulfilling prophecy, preventing you from taking new risks. Furthermore, a lack of emotional support during difficult times can cement these patterns. If you were taught to suppress your emotions, to be strong and not to cry, you likely learned to disconnect from your own inner guidance system. You learned that certain feelings were unacceptable, so you buried them. But buried feelings don't disappear. They fester. They become unresolved emotional blocks that drain your energy and create a sense of inexplicable heaviness or resistance. This is the ghost in the machine. The unexpressed grief, the unacknowledged anger, the unhealed shame from your past that continues to influence your present, keeping you stuck until you have the courage to turn around and face it. Why do we find ourselves in the same situations over and over again? We date the same type of person, we face the same conflict at every job, we start a new diet every January only to abandon it by February. This is not a coincidence, and it's not bad luck. It is the echo of an unhealed emotional wound. Our subconscious mind has a powerful drive toward resolution. It will continually recreate the circumstances of an original wound, not to punish us, but in an attempt to finally heal it, to get it right this time. It's as if a part of us is stuck in a time loop, forever replaying a scene from the past in the hopes of achieving a different ending. For example, if you had a parent who was emotionally unavailable, you might find yourself repeatedly drawn to partners who are distant or withholding. Consciously, this is the last thing you want, but subconsciously, you are trying to finally win the love and attention you never received. You are trying to turn the emotionally unavailable partner into the loving, attentive person you always craved, thereby healing the original childhood wound. The problem is, this strategy almost never works. We are trying to get our healing from people who are often incapable of giving it, and in the process we only deepen the original wound, reinforcing the belief that we are not worthy of love. These repetitive cycles are fueled by what psychologists call a repetition compulsion. It's a powerful unconscious urge to repeat traumatic events or circumstances. This is why we feel so stuck. We are caught in a loop that we cannot see. The cycle will continue, the echo will keep reverberating through our lives lives until we stop and notice the pattern. Awareness is the first and most crucial step to breaking the cycle. We have to be willing to look at our recurring struggles and ask, what is the familiar feeling here? Where have I felt this way before? Often the answer will lead us back to a much earlier time in our lives. Healing these echoes requires us to turn our attention inward, away from trying to change the external situation, and towards soothing the original wound within ourselves. It means giving ourselves the validation, compassion, and safety that we may not have received in the past. It means grieving the losses we were never allowed to grieve, and feeling the anger we were told to suppress. When we do this, we break the spell. We no longer need to unconsciously seek out situations to heal our past, because we are actively healing it in the present. The echoes begin to fade, and the repetitive cycles lose their power over us. We are finally free to create a new future, one that is not a reaction to our past. Understanding the theory behind why we are stuck is powerful, but true change happens when we translate that understanding into practical action. The journey of uncovering your subconscious story doesn't have to be overwhelming. It begins with simple, gentle acts of self-observation. The first and most effective tool is journaling, but with a specific focus. Instead of just writing about your day, create a stuck points journal. Every time you find yourself procrastinating on a task, avoiding a conversation, or feeling a wave of resistance, take a moment to write it down. Don't judge it, just observe it. Note the specific task you are avoiding, and more importantly, the feeling that comes up when you think about doing it. Is it anxiety, dread, fear, boredom? Once you have started tracking your stuck points, the next step is to gently and compassionately name the underlying fear. This is an exercise in honest self-inquiry. Ask yourself, if I were to do this task, what is the worst thing that could happen? Let your mind answer without censorship. Then, ask again, and if that happened, what would that mean about me? Keep peeling back the layers until you arrive at a core fear. For example, avoiding a work presentation might start with, I'm afraid I'll mess up. The next layer might be, if I mess up, my boss will think I'm incompetent. And the core fear might be, if I'm seen as incompetent, I will lose my job and be seen as a failure. Naming this deep fear robs it of its power. It is no longer a vague, monstrous threat, it is a specific, manageable concern. A crucial part of this process is building a sense of emotional safety for yourself. Many of us were taught that our feelings were wrong or inconvenient, so we learned to ignore them. To break this pattern, you must create an inner environment where all feelings are welcome. When a difficult emotion like fear or shame arises, instead of pushing it away, try a simple practice. Place a hand on your heart, take a deep breath and say to yourself, it's okay to feel this way. This feeling is welcome here. I am safe. This small act of self-compassion communicates to your nervous system that you are no longer at war with yourself. It creates the internal safety needed to explore these deeper wounds without becoming overwhelmed. Finally, begin to look for the patterns connecting your current stuck points to your past. As you journal and name your fears, ask yourself, when have I felt this way before? Or, what does this situation remind me of from my childhood? You might notice that the fear of being criticized by your boss feels exactly the same as the fear of disappointing your father. Or the anxiety of starting a new project feels like the helplessness you felt during a difficult time in school. You don't need to have all the answers at once. The goal is simply to start drawing the lines, connecting the dots between your present and your past. This act of seeing, of making the unconscious conscious, is the first most powerful step toward rewriting your story. Once you have started to identify the old stories and fears that are keeping you stuck, it's time to begin the gentle art of moving forward. This is not about forcing yourself or using brute willpower. It's about consciously and intentionally rewriting your inner script, one small step at a time. The most powerful way to do this is by breaking down your overwhelming goals into what I call micro steps. If your goal is to write a book, the thought of writing 300 pages can be paralyzing. The micro step is not write a chapter, it's open the document, it's write one sentence. A micro step should be so small that it feels almost ridiculous not to do it. This bypasses your brain's fear response. The goal isn't to finish the book today, it's simply to teach your nervous system that taking a small step in the right direction is safe. Alongside taking micro steps, you must actively work on shifting your identity language. Your subconscious mind operates on the level of identity. If your deep belief is, I am a procrastinator, you will always find ways to procrastinate to remain consistent with that identity. You need to start feeding your mind a new, more empowering identity. This is not about lying to yourself, it's about speaking to the person you are becoming. Instead of saying, I am a procrastinator, try saying, I am a person who is learning to take consistent action. Instead of, I am not good enough, try, I am a work in progress, and I am learning and growing every day. This may feel awkward at first, but repetition is the language of the subconscious. By consistently using this new language, you are installing new, updated software. This process of rewriting your script must be accompanied by a daily practice of celebrating small wins. Your brain is wired to notice threats and failures, so you have to consciously train it to look for evidence of your progress. At the end of each day, take a moment to acknowledge what you did, no matter how small. Did you open the document? Celebrate it. Did you make the phone call you were dreading? Acknowledge your courage. Did you simply notice your fear without acting on it? That is a huge victory. This practice of celebrating small wins releases dopamine in your brain, creating a positive feedback loop. It proves to your subconscious mind that moving forward is not dangerous, it is rewarding. It builds a new neural pathway associated with positive feelings and accomplishment. Remember, the goal is not perfection, it is gentle, compassionate progress. There will be days when the old patterns feel strong. There will be moments when you slip back into procrastination or self-doubt. That is not a failure, it is part of the process. On those days, the most important thing you can do is meet yourself with kindness, not criticism. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend who is struggling. Offer yourself words of encouragement. Remind yourself that you are unlearning decades of conditioning, and that takes time. This gentle, persistent, and compassionate approach is the only sustainable way to move forward. It's not a race, it's a practice of returning to yourself again and again. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this, it is this. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not flawed. And you are not destined to be stuck forever. You are a complex, beautiful human being running on old programming. You are carrying stories that were never yours to begin with and wounds that were never your fault. The feeling of being stuck is not a life sentence, it is a wake-up call. It is an invitation from the deepest part of yourself to finally pause, to listen, and to heal. It is a sign that you have outgrown the old version of your life, and you are ready for something new, even if it feels terrifying. Think of your life as a story. For a long time you may have been an unconscious character in a story written by your past, your family, and your fears. You have been playing a role that was assigned to you, following a script that kept you small and safe. But the beautiful truth is that you are not just the character, you are also the author. At any moment you can pick up the pen. You have the power to write a new chapter, a new scene, a new ending. This doesn't mean erasing the past. The past has made you who you are, and it holds profound wisdom. It means integrating the lessons of the past and choosing to no longer be defined by its limitations. This journey of becoming unstuck is the most meaningful work you can do. It is the journey back to your true self. It's about peeling back the layers of conditioning and fear to reconnect with the creative, powerful, and whole person you have always been underneath. It requires courage, yes, but it is a quiet courage. It is the courage to be honest with yourself, the courage to feel your feelings, and the courage to take one small, imperfect step today. You don't need to have the entire path figured out. You just need to be willing to light a lamp and see the next few feet in front of you. So, let this be the day. Let this be the moment you stop blaming the symptoms and start healing the source. Let this be the day you see your resistance, not as an enemy, but as a guide. You have everything you need within you to move forward. You have the capacity for awareness, the strength for healing, and the power to write a new story. The person you want to be is not someone you have to build from scratch. It is someone you simply have to uncover. You are not broken, you are becoming, and your new story starts now.